Hello, this is I Do Damage and welcome back to the channel. In this Diablo 2 Resurrected video, I want to talk to you about my impressions after playing the Early Access Beta. If you pre-order the game, you can play the game starting today, August 13th, until August 17th. That is for the pre-orders, and then they're going to have an open beta that will basically resume. So your characters from the 13th through 17th will carry over starting on the 20th through the 23rd, and that later date will be open to everyone, even if you didn't pre-order the game. Keep in mind, before the official launch on September 23rd, there will be an entire wipe. So with all that out of the way, I want to go ahead and talk to you a little bit about my background with Diablo 2 before we get into my thoughts and impressions, just because I think it is important for you to know. I didn't play a lot of Diablo 2, the original game, growing up. It just, I was playing other games at that time. I really didn't have a PC when I was younger and everything. I played maybe an hour or two of the old original Diablo 2 game. Not really enough, but I'm hoping that I can bring a different perspective to Diablo 2 Resurrected. And I'm going in with the idea in my head that this is a new game and this is my first time playing it. I've noticed through their marketing and their advertisements, they have said that Diablo 2 Resurrected will appeal to OG players, old school players, and veterans, as well as new players alike. That new players alike is going to be the audience that I fit into, and I really hope that my perspective, feedback, and criticisms can be very positive and hopefully constructive to the development team, and also you guys, so you can understand kind of where I'm coming from. So now that you know my background with Diablo 2 and where I'm coming from in this video, I hope that you'll understand kind of my ideas, and this is me coming in with, a new perspective really on the game. The first thing I want to mention is the cutscenes. The cutscenes, they absolutely nailed it. They are visibly pleasing, crispy, they're great to look at, well voiced, everything. The cutscenes, love them. The graphics as well is really incredible, and you can actually just hit, if you're playing on mouse and keyboard, you can hit the G button to toggle between the old school graphics and the new Resurrected graphics. It's really cool to see some monsters. I typically play in the new graphics just because that's what I prefer. But I'll see a monster, I'm like, ooh, I wonder what that used to look like. And I can just hit the button and see. It's actually pretty impressive how you can just do that on the fly. One thing I did notice, however, though, is the old school color scheme and color palette, I guess, seem more vibrant. And there's more details, I feel like, in the old version. One example I have of this is the doors. The doors are more easy to find, like the exit to the next level in the dungeon, if you're using the old school graphics. The modern graphics, they seem to be a little bit less blatantly obvious as to where those doors are. So I'm not sure if that's intended or maybe something that should be looked into a little bit further. Another point on the topic of graphics is the animations and the ways that the skills look. I played Druid this evening on stream. We did a pretty long stream today. It was a blast. Shout out to the DMGCREW and all of you that showed up and hung out on the stream. And a big special shout out to all of you that dealt with my newbiness and really kind of helped me along the way. But yeah, I played Druid, and that fire boulder ability, whatever it's called, was freaking awesome to look at. It probably wasn't the best skill in the game, but it was visibly pleasing, and yeah, that's really what's important, right? Those style points. Now, there's a few more topics that I want to talk to that are a little bit more serious, and, I think it might be a little bit hard if you're an OG and a veteran to really understand where I'm coming from on. But before we get to that and really kind of get to that hard topic, I want to go ahead and talk a little bit about the gameplay. And this was a really huge thing for me. I've been playing a lot of action RPGs, hacker slashers, looters, and, I was really surprised with how slow-paced Diablo 2 Resurrected is. And this is not a negative thing, so don't think I'm saying this in a bad way. I think it really makes me rethink my games and action RPGs that I play in general. It's a whole different perspective now. I'm constantly having to think about, my potions, obviously, my cooldowns, my basically like placement, tile control of trying to dodge the mobs, and just really thinking more critically instead of just rolling through and mashing all the buttons like a master piano player, you know what I mean? Yeah, this really took me by surprise. The game is, for me personally, as hard as nails, and this is a difficulty I don't see often in the ARPG genre. It's definitely welcomed, but, I'd be lying if I said I wasn't stressed out and overwhelmed more than one time. It was definitely a unexpected difficulty and challenge. And, I'm probably going to lose sleep over it because I'm in my head thinking about, the scary monsters. How am I going to overcome them? That Act 2 boss. I mean, dude, there's no way I could solo it at this point. I just got to learn the game and, kind of figure out the fundamentals and the mechanics and really how to use the game to my advantage. Now, this is the topic that I really want to talk to you about. And this is, if you're a veteran and, hardcore Diablo 2 fan, please don't take this the wrong way. This is just my thoughts and kind of how I felt about the beta. So understand these are entirely my opinions and you're totally entitled to disagree with me. I'd love to have a conversation about it if you'd like, down in the comments on our Discord, whatever. But let's just go ahead and let's get it out of the way. That's my honest thoughts on the whole thing. As I said in the beginning of the video, Diablo 2 Resurrected is a remake. It's a resurrection of Diablo 2. It is for veterans of the game as well as new players alike. That's part of their marketing and advertisement. So with that in mind, I know that they have said that they were going to increase a lot of quality of life features, and they did. There's a lot of quality of life features that, from what I'm hearing, did not exist back in the olden days, such as the shared stash. You have auto gold pickup. You have different settings that you can pick from that show if you miss. I think that's a new improvement anyway. There's been a lot of quality of life things. The graphics, the cutscenes are now made from scratch. There's a lot of improvements that have made the game more modern, in my opinion. However, there's just as many things that, really did not get improved or modernized, and are, I kind of feel like left in the dust. I feel like this is kind of part of the problem. And what I'm talking about here specifically is the user interface. So if you play with keyboard and mouse, you're going to notice it's exactly how the original Diablo 2 is. Exact same interface, and that is totally awesome. However, it might have been time for a facelift, or at least give us the option, right? Because, I'm not going to lie here, man. I really struggled with the keyboard and mouse, and I don't know. I just found it not super fluid. And so I decided to just test out the controller. And yeah, I got an old 360 controller here that I used. As soon as I started using that thing, it was like a totally different game in terms of combat, animations, dude, it was like a totally different game. Just cranked it up a notch. I was addicted from the second I started playing with controller. So if you're a new player, I do recommend using controller. If you're an OG, probably, go the nostalgic way and check out that old interface. But my point here is they upgraded and, modernized all of these things. And, you even have a toggle for the graphics to go from how it used to look to the new modern graphics. Why not give me a toggle? Because this is what matters here is as soon as you plug in that controller, your toolbar and interface totally changes. You have 6 hotbar, toolbar abilities, and you can see all of your abilities on that one bar. And if you hold down left trigger, you can flop and see another 6. So in essence, you have 12 skill slots that are entirely visible. Me, a modern action RPG player, that was just amazing. That's what I would expect the interface to look like if I was going into Diablo completely blind. Now, when you're using the mouse and keyboard, it's just like it used to be. You have the 2 abilities, and you can scroll through them and bind them to your F1 through F8 keys. And that's awesome. But, why not give me a toggle? I have a toggle for the graphics. Why not give me a toggle for the hotbar on keyboard and mouse? Why not give me a modern UI choice on the keyboard and mouse and allow me to toggle it if I want the nostalgic feeling or the modern feeling? That's really one of my biggest complaints with the keyboard and mouse controls on Diablo 2 Resurrected. Boy, I'm glad we got that out of the way. A few other things that I wanted to point out, though, that I did have issues with was the fact that there's no damage numbers when you hit enemies. And also, I would like to see nameplates or just, little health bars above the creatures. I know that when you mouse over them, you can see it at the top of the screen, but that's not what I'm talking about. I want to be able to see it over the actual creature. And both of those issues, they went poof as soon as I plugged in the controller. When I was hitting an enemy, my controller would vibrate, telling me that, hey, you actually hit the enemy with that spell. I get that interaction and that collision factor and that feeling that I'm actually hitting the enemy. That's super important to me. And the nameplates are there when you use the controller as well. It's just on the one that you have targeted, but it's still a nameplate and it's super awesome. That's really honestly it. I mean, this is the problem here is I like the game so much. And when that happens with me, I tend to get a little bit nitpicky, and I try to pick the little things that I think could just be improved to make the game that much more. So, at the end of the day, please don't take any of this as me not liking Diablo 2 because, I love the resurrected version of this, and the multiplayer is absolutely awesome. I'm already trying to think of other ways to build my druid, and, I'm avoiding guides and all that. I'm trying to figure it out, and there's just so much to the game. Totally worth checking out, at least in the open beta if you haven't pre-ordered it yet. But that's really going to be it for this Diablo 2 Resurrected video. I wanted to keep it short and sweet and to the point. There's so much more we could talk about here. But yeah, those are my first impressions after I don't know, what was it, a 10 or 11 hour long stream, which I will have the replay that is fully timestamped down in the description and down in the comments below if you do want to check that out. And I'll also be doing more Diablo 2 Resurrected streams in the future. If you enjoy the content here on the channel and this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and ring that bell. Make sure you have notifications set to all so you get notified when I post new videos and also when I go live here on the YouTube channel. I just wanted to do one final shout out to you, the Damage Crew, the supporters, and all of you guys. Without you guys, man, you just make it all so worth it. And also a special shout out to all of you that played along and joined in on the multiplayer. I look forward to more gaming sessions with you. As always, thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.